Right now, all across the American Midwest, a massive harvest is underway. But this year, something is really, really wrong. You see, their single biggest customer is just gone. And it's creating a crisis that could ripple through the entire agricultural economy. Let's get into what's happening here. So, just how big of a harvest are we talking about? Well, the U.S. is expected to pull in about 170 million metric tons of soybeans this year. To give you some perspective, soybeans are America's #1 agricultural export. They're a huge deal. And a harvest this big, well, it needs buyers, especially one very specific, very, very large buyer. And there's the problem. Since the harvest kicked off last month, China has ordered exactly 0 cargoes of U.S. soybeans, not a single one. That silence is just deafening, and it's sending shockwaves from the fields of Iowa all the way to the halls of Washington. So what does it actually mean when your #1 customer just vanishes into thin air? For American soybean farmers, it's a massive shock. Let's really dig into how significant this absence is. This chart really lays it out in stark terms. Historically, China has bought somewhere between 30 and 60% of the entire American soybean crop. Losing that huge a slice of the pie isn't just a little setback, it's a potential catastrophe for the market. And here's the thing. It's crucial to understand that China hasn't stopped buying soybeans. They're just not buying them from the United States. Instead, all those orders are flowing to places like Brazil and Argentina. So yeah, this isn't just a random market downturn. It feels like a very targeted decision. Which brings us to the main point. This probably isn't about crop quality or logistics. All signs are pointing to this being a calculated move in a much bigger game of geopolitical chess between two of the world's biggest economies. And that's pretty much the official word from President Trump. The thinking is that China is deliberately holding back on its purchases to try and gain an advantage in the upcoming trade talks. They know exactly how much this hurts the American heartland. That's the key question, isn't it? I mean, for a tactic like this to actually work, you need to have other options. Can China really get all the soybeans it needs without the U.S. supply? And the answer, for now at least, seems to be yes. By turning to other big producers like Brazil and Argentina, China is signaling that it has the leverage to wait this out. They can afford to leave U.S. farmers out in the cold while they negotiate. Okay, so this high-level strategy has some very real and very painful consequences for the people on the ground. Let's take a look at the cascade effect this is having on the American farmer. It's like a 3-step chain reaction. First, with no buyers, those harvested soybeans have nowhere to go, so the storage silos are just filling up to the brim. Second, basic economics kicks in. This massive surplus with no demand means prices just plummet. And third, all of this creates this deep sense of uncertainty and pessimism. This is something we call farmer sentiment, and right now it is sinking, and sinking fast. Farmers are looking at the worst 2-year stretch of prices in a decade, and the financial and emotional strain is just immense. They're worried, and you know what? They're getting angry. And here's a really critical point. The government has talked about sending aid money, but that's not what farmers are really asking for. They don't want a handout that still leaves them with overflowing silos. They want a stable, predictable trade deal so they can sell the crops they've worked so incredibly hard to grow. So all of this is building towards one single high-stakes moment. In just a few weeks, the leaders of the U.S. and China are scheduled to meet at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, that's APEC, and you can bet soybeans are going to be right at the top of the agenda. This timeline really puts the pressure into perspective. Think about it. The harvest started a month ago. We're already about a fifth of the way through it with 0 sales to China, and the meeting that could fix this is still 4 weeks away. Every single day that passes, this problem gets bigger. And that leaves us with one final urgent question. The combines are running today. The silos are filling up as we speak. Can a diplomatic handshake a month from now actually come soon enough to salvage this year's harvest? The livelihoods of thousands of American farmers are literally hanging in the balance.